Hey, can you hear me? I can't hear you. Wait, I just muted you accidentally. I can't hear you guys. Can give me a thumbs up. Can you hear me? Thumbs up if you can hear me, thumbs down if you can't. Thumbs down. Lynn,
Hey,
can you hear me?
yes.
Okay. Bonnie and Jim cannot hear me.
Okay.
Can you guys hear Lynn? I mean, I guess if you can't hear me, you can't hear Lynn.
I wonder if they know how to use the chat box.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. They probably need to join with computer audio, right?
Yeah. Sometimes that's a like a last minute step for folks.
Yeah. And sometimes people don't click on the right thing. I think it's like computer audio or internet audio or something like that.
Oh, give you the thumbs up.
Can you hear me now? Okay, I still can't hear you guys.
They don't appear to be muted.
Yeah. But at least you can hear us. Bonnie and Jim are in
How about now?
Hey, there we go.
Yeah, there we go.
It's in that menu on the left. You have to, everything was not selected correctly.
Okay.
So now,
Well, some things that have happened in the last week. Carrie Still and Dave, I think his last name's Aguado, have started helping out with the social media. And then Ollie Johnson has agreed to help with the property owners research team I'm trying to put together. I don't know, whatever we want to call it, that'll basically come up with these little information to put on infographics for property owners for cost share programs for like to get their septic tanks replaced or adopt agricultural best management practices. But I'm trying to put together a group of people who don't mind kind of wading through, some of those government websites and stuff to find, and the nonprofits too. Sometimes will have, conservation easements and stuff like that. Basically, I want to create infographics and put them out through social media for educational purposes. But also, as far as that push for the city to do, are you saying you're having trouble logging in? The link's in the event. Sorry.
Hmm.
My girlfriend's trying to get logged on. But I figure with the city election being, just a few weeks away, that even though we had 2 council members say that they were, on board to push for it, I bet, all eyes are on the election right now. So I'm kind of hanging back myself until we get some people in, and then I'm going to push forward with that again. I've got, the handbills ready to print out, and I was just going to wheat paste them up around town, and they've got the little Scantron on it where people can scan and email their council member about, trying to get it pushed through. There was somebody from the Times Free Press that contacted me, and then contacted, I think they did a follow-up with a few people, but I never saw anything come through from the Times Free Press about it. So, can you hear Morgan? No. You have to connect with the audio. Let's see. Other news. I heard there's a solar farm getting built in Dade County. Have you guys heard anything about this?
Yeah, I've got the article at home. I didn't really read the article, but yes, I didn't. I'm the world's worst. I was actually bought the paper for another reason,
Uh-huh.
and but I did see that about solar farm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you see where they're building it or anything like that?
I want to say from my scanning of the article, not reading it carefully, maybe out where the industrial area is, out kind of on Highway 11. But I'll look
Okay.
at, hey, when I get home, my homework assignment will be to read that article.
Right. I mean, solar's great, but I mean, if they're building like, I don't know. I need to read the article before I say anything about it.
Oh, about the river? You mean about?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I did want to say, you were talking about the Times Free Press. I have a lady's name, and she's on my Facebook. The Pulse is going again, but it's online.
Okay.
And she did a great article and actually put some of my artwork on the front page about a year ago when we had our Christmas show. And I can connect you, or I'll send you her name.
Okay.
She's writing articles, and I know you have to let her know about it. It's like, it may just be once a month, and they get information on their calendar, but she wrote a great article for us.
Cool. So something I've been working on with some other teachers in Hamilton County is a watershed curriculum for schools, basically tying in the state standards to some like PBLs. You were a teacher, right, Bonnie?
Yes, I was.
Do you know what a PBL is? Like project-based learning, problem-based learning?
Certainly do, and that's the way I taught.
Yeah. Well,
Project-based learning.
the idea would be we could tie in real world problems with these PBLs and give the teachers resources to have one-to-one resources for the kids. So, nice, thickly laminated maps of the watersheds that the schools are in. So, I teach at Spring Creek, so we would get South Chickamauga Creek watershed. Orchard Knob Elementary would get Citico Creek, Calvin Donaldson would get Chattanooga Creek, and Lookout Valley would get Lookout Creek watershed. So all the schools would get, maps of their own watersheds, and you start really early on in kindergarten, and there's standards, there's science and social studies standards that can be easily tied in with watershed education. And I've got some awesome teachers on board so far. I need to reach out to a couple of middle school, high school science teachers to see if I can get all I have on board at this point is elementary school teachers. But
Yeah, I could get you in touch with Mike Ellis at Ivy Academy.
cool.
That's Lucy's husband.
Cool. Yeah, that would be helpful. I've got Nikki Russell. She was Tennessee STEM Teacher of the Year in 2019. She's the STEM teacher at Orchard Knob Elementary. She is willing to help. And then a couple of teachers at Spring Creek are willing to help. And then I've got a teacher at Eastlake Elementary that's willing to help with it. So that's one project that I've got in the cookbook right, or in the oven right now. Another thing I was thinking of doing is I want to do quarterly creek cleanups, and we can do them, on the Georgia side and the Tennessee side, or wherever. Just give everybody an opportunity to actually get out, and people are like stuff that's like creek cleanups, you feel a sense of accomplishments afterwards. Whereas like if we just do Zoom meetings all the time, it doesn't really feel like you're getting anything done. But so one of my goals tonight was to set a date for a creek cleanup. And I've got lots of people that are like, oh, record the video. We want to know what's going on. But I was hoping to hear, from those people about their input for a date for a creek cleanup. But if they're not going to sign on, then I'm just going to say let's do it on a Saturday, because that seems like it would be the easiest for everybody.
Are you thinking spring or early summer?
Well, if we're doing it quarterly, I think we'd have to shoot for the end of March. Let me look at my calendar.
I'm ready.
You want to do it before the leaves come out so you can see this stuff.
Yeah.
Which section of creek are you thinking about?
I mean, I'm right in Lookout Valley, so I'm, I got a lot of people here in the valley that have been talking to me about the group and stuff. So I was thinking about maybe just under Cummings Highway, where there's that canoe launch there, launching from there, and people can also walk along the shore and stuff.
That Reflection Writing would probably team up with you for that.
Cool, good idea.
Great.
Let's see. Let me look at my calendar.
Adam, I'm not really that connected with the schools right now, because I've been retired for 12 years, but I do know some of the teachers. Are you interested in getting, maybe in a year from now? I know this is early, but getting clubs like Beta Club and kids involved or not?
I mean, yeah, it's got to, that's the future. I think that's the most important part, is like the education component of conservation, because if kids don't experience nature, that they're not going to care about it,
Well, once you set the date, I can find out who to contact at the high school. I know I can find out.
Right.
Contact.
How about Saturday, March 27th?
Let me check.
Who's got plans these days?
Well,
Well, I actually have some plans in March, believe it or not. So, like art classes. I think I changed the art class up though. I think I don't have one now.
I wonder if it'd be possible to get a dumpster from the city.
Yeah, I was gonna say the city would be happy to
It's from the county.
advertise whatever day you decide on, and it doesn't mean a whole lot for the city to advertise. I don't think a whole lot of folks, I mean, it's still a good chunk of folks, but people looking at our Twitter feed and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, the the Native Plant Symposium is March 19th, so that's 19th through the 21st, so no conflict there.
I have a class the 27th at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Well, usually, I mean, every year I've done the Tennessee River Rescue. You're done by lunchtime. You start, you know, around 9 o'clock, and then you're done by around 1.
That'll be fine
And you can fall asleep in the class.
then. Hey, I've done two things in a day. Jim and we're ready to do this creek cleanup.
Do you guys have a canoe?
I have a kayak.
Okay.
You didn't want me to speak for you. Never mind. I'm ready.
I've got extra kayaks. I've got a big 15-foot canoe, and I've got 2 kid kayaks and 2 adult kayaks. So I've got a little bit extra. I know a few other people that have extra boats that they could bring too. I'm gonna wrangle my friend Travis into it, and he's got some extra boats. So, oh, somebody's coming in. It's my friend Alex.
Not you. Okay.
Alex, can you hear me?
Yep, I got you, bud.
Hey, we just set a date for a creek cleanup of Saturday, March 27th, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. weather depending.
Right.
And let's see, I also talked about how I'm going to hold off on the push to get the city to take up trash and recycling until after the election, because
Okay.
even though we've had a couple of council members say, express support, I think everybody's kind of focused on the election right now since we're just a couple of weeks out from it.
Right.
And then I was also updating the group about this watershed curriculum I'm working on with a few teachers from Hamilton County. The idea would be to get information about the watersheds that the schools fall in the students' hands, and so they can see maps of the watersheds that they live in, that they go to school in, and have real world problems relating to the watersheds that they solve in class as groups. So you divide your class up into groups of 4, and you say, hey, we've got this problem with fecal coliform bacteria, if I'm saying it right, bacteria, and hey, you got to look up on the internet how to fix the problem. And, they work together and come up with a project on how to improve the water where they live and stuff. So that's basically that idea. And I was setting the date for the, let's see, I think that's it. I haven't heard from Dade County yet. We've been playing phone tag, but what I have heard is they did not adopt the Lookout Creek. Alex got kicked out. They did not adopt the Lookout Creek watershed restoration project is what it was called. They did not adopt it, but they are doing some monitoring and some stuff like that. But I don't know. I think there really needs to be a holistic approach, and anybody in Dade County should push for the county to adopt that management plan that somebody paid a lot of money to come up with it, but they did not adopt all of it. So, but I think some of the education aspect is just going to be like us putting together this property owners research team that can kind of come up with the infographics and then put them out on social media, and then we can kind of all pitch in for sponsored posts to let people know it's like, here's where you go if you want to replace your if your septic tank's leaking and you want to replace it and you need some help with the cost, here's some resources. because I know they're out there, but I don't really have time to look it up. That's why, I mean, I'm willing
Yeah.
to, work, but I have heard from Ollie for sure is interested. I don't know if that's something you're interested in, Alex, like serving on like a property owner's research team that kind of your job is to look at all the cost share programs available for if to do stuff like build barriers to keep cattle out of the creek and stuff. And there's also like sustainable feeding options where there's not as much runoff into the creek. They're called agricultural best management practices.
Right.
But and then there's like cost share programs for property owners to adopt these. And also I think we need an infograph about the different type of conservation easements that are available that we could put out too. It's like, if you want to save some money, you can go to these nonprofit organizations and work out like a conservation easement with them. So that's just a couple of ideas I had for like getting information out to people.
Yeah, that's cool.
Is that something you'd be interested in?
Yeah, man, absolutely. I'll be glad to help any way I can. Research is that my entire academic career was built on research. That's all I did. So that's right up my alley.
Cool. I can connect you with Ollie.
Okay.
Ollie owns a farm in Wildwood, so he'll be working down there, and then you can kind of work it. You're in Hamilton County, right?
Yeah, I'm over in Red Bank.
Okay, cool. So you could be working there, and you guys can just communicate with each other. Another thing we're going to have to do eventually is recruit people from Valley Head, Alabama, because the watershed spans from Alabama to Chattanooga, so
Right.
it's pretty big. And right now we've got a lot of support in Dade County and some people from Walker County and Hamilton County, but I haven't seen anybody coming through from Alabama yet. So I think I was talking to somebody, and I said it may take going down there and hanging up flyers. That's my music promoter in me always has to be like,
Yeah, exactly.
We'll get the flyers out there and the people will come.
Yeah, that's the first thing I was thinking was actually Jess Goggins had gotten in touch with me a couple of nights ago about sitting in with her. And she's actually from that area, like Fort Payne area. Mm-hmm. She was born in Valley Head. So that's definitely something that she and her crew, it's just a whole bunch of hippies making music down there, right? So, I mean, they would definitely be interested in this if I run that by her. So I'll run this by Jess and all of her friends. And that could be a good avenue and getting in touch with the community down there and getting people involved.
Also, I talked to Jameson Griffin with the Scenic Dade Development Company or organization, or that they're a nonprofit, but they've been working to kind of get some trails built in Trenton, and they've kind of ran into some legal trouble, or not legal trouble, but barriers,
right.
Just opposition. I think the school down there didn't want the trail going from Jenkins Park to Cloudland Canyon through the school or something. So, but he's invited me to come sit on their board meeting, which is happening this Friday. So I'll know more about what's going on in Dade County by the next meeting. So that's really all I have, unless anybody else has anything they need to share.
I'm happy to talk about city stuff.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, anybody else have questions before I launch into a new topic or? Okay, well, yeah, I just wanted to say hi and introduce myself as someone that works at the city in the water quality program, which is a division of Public Works. And I also volunteer for the Tennessee Valley Wild Ones, which is a native plant advocacy group. So they advocate for using native plants in the landscaping industry and other sustainable horticultural practices, which includes, I'm always the one pushing them to talk about water as well in the landscape and how to not damage your water resources with your landscaping, because a lot of people get into landscaping because they like the outdoors. So it would be a shame to damage the environment by just using outdated methods that just, haven't been eliminated from our culture yet. So y'all would probably be familiar with a couple things right off the bat that would link landscaping practices to water, right? Like the misuse of fertilizer. So a lot of people have, some inkling, the average person is like, yeah, I think there's something about fertilizer being bad for water. And, this may be something that your group decides is really important, is just teaching these basic concepts about water quality. So excess nutrients from fertilizer washing into a creek or a stream or a pond cause an algae bloom. And then that algae bloom, once it eats up all the excess nutrients, it grows, gets really big. There's no more nutrients in the water, so then it dies. And then the decomposition sucks a lot of oxygen out of the system. And then you have low oxygen levels in the water. And that's when you get a lot of fish and invertebrates dying. So that whole process is called eutrophication. So this might be something that y'all already know, but a lot of people don't know this stuff. And a lot of people don't think about like, okay, well, fine, I don't use fertilizer, whatever. If they have sediment washing off their property for whatever reason, just maybe they have a dirt road and it's just erodes every time it rains, or they did some landscaping work and they're building an addition on their house, any number of things that disturb soil could cause sediment to wash off their property. And if that sediment gets into the road, gets down a storm drain, then it's in a creek or a stream. If that sediment washes into a ditch, that's going to get to a creek or a stream. And sediment is just more nutrients. And it's also silting in the cobbly bottom of the creek. And that cobbly bottom is where a lot of animals live. Sediment is our worst water pollutant in Chattanooga. You might think it's like, battery acid or something, something terrible like that. But sediment actually does a lot of damage, and it's our most common pollutant. And after that, the one of most concern is E. coli. So where does E. coli come from in our system? We do have a lot of people pooping outside. We have a lot of dogs pooping outside. But it's also sewer leaks. Just really common in Chattanooga, old clay pipes, or any other other problems settling, and then pipes are under stress and they crack and break. So Chattanooga actually does have a program for homeowners that don't make a whole lot of money can get their sewer line fixed by the city. So if you qualify for that, that's a nice program. So this is, something you can add to your list of resources for folks. Because I love the idea of making that brochure, Adam, of just cost share programs, just any number of things. A lot of different municipalities offer things, but they're not collected into one place. You would have to go to each website to find those. So that's a hassle. So that program to fix sewer lines is great. We have another program called the Rain Smart program. Actually, I could share my screen real quick. I don't know if you can give me that ability, Adam, but I could share. Oh, hey,
Hey, Lynn,
Um,
are you on like a computer or are you on a phone? Because on the phone, there's a bar at the bottom. When you click on the screen, it pops up and it says share content. I think that's kind of what you're looking for.
yeah, I think the host has to give me permission.
I'm trying
Okay.
to figure out how to do that.
Yeah.
What do I click on?
I'm not sure. When I click on share screen, I assumed that it would give you like the option to.
Oh,
Okay.
here we go. I got you. Okay, you should be able to now.
Okay. Um. Don't know which screen this is going to share, so we're just gonna. Okay, can you guys see an untitled document there? How about this? It's Tennessee Urban Riparian Buffer Handbook. Can everybody see that? Okay, so this is a pretty great document that I can share with you all. You could find this online. It's massive. It's 134 pages, but it has different programs. It's got great plants for riparian buffers. It's got basic homeowner stuff that people can do. Okay, so here's the City of Chattanooga website, and it's got some basic information. Let's get back to I wanted to start you at the just the landing page here. There we go. So we've got RainSmart is a cool program for homeowners, and we incentivize building rain gardens. So anybody that lives in city limits could apply for that program if they can. Maybe they use their downspout as a source for the water. So you guys probably all already know this, but like the main point of green infrastructure is to reduce stormwater runoff. Just generally just trying to soak up water, soak it into the earth instead of letting it run off. So something I've had to teach a lot of kids and a lot of adults, it's just something we forget, is that in a healthy water cycle, rainwater soaks into the soil before getting to the water table. And then the water table is what actually feeds healthy creeks and streams. So that water all gets filtered and soaked in. All the plants have a chance to drink it. It cools off, and it provides a really consistent, cool flow year-round. In an urban system where we have a lot of impervious surfaces, pavement, roofs, stuff like that, instead of soaking into the earth, the water runs off, gets into our storm drains, it gets into ditches, and it creates really flashy, floody conditions, right? It's all happening at once. It's going straight to the storm drain. It's going straight to the creek. It's gouging out that creek. It's hot. There's a lot of volume. And that's why we get really badly scoured banks and flood conditions in neighborhoods, which is a huge issue in Chattanooga. I don't know how big of a problem it is in the Lookout Creek watershed, but other parts of the city, people's homes are regularly ruined by floodwaters. It's just, really common issue in town, and it's getting worse as we develop the city. So a rain garden, sorry, I'm kind of all over the place. So a rain garden is one way you can soak up water on your site. It's a basin-shaped depression in the earth. It's full of plants, preferably native, deep-rooted plants that help that water get into the ground. So another thing you could do is a rain barrel or a cistern, which functions similarly in flood control. It's not going to infiltrate that water. It's just going to catch it and hold on to it for you. So that can eliminate some flooding as well. If everybody was using rain barrels, the cumulative effect would be enormous, right? If everybody had rain gardens in their backyard, cumulatively, that would be an incredible amount of rainwater getting captured on site, put back in the ground. If every building downtown had a green roof, again, that would be a big cumulative impact. So RainSmart incentivizes rain gardens and rain barrels. Green Grants incentivizes businesses to do bigger scale practices like a green roof or a bioretention, which is kind of just a bigger, more engineered rain garden. So you can learn about all these things on this website. And scroll down a little bit, there's just some basics here. And then a minute ago, I was on the Watershed Academy page. I don't know why it's called Watershed Academy. It makes it sound like you can go get a degree, like it's a place or something. I think it's literally just this page, I'm pretty sure. So the citizens page, we got a nice watershed map here. A lot of people don't know what watershed they live in. So that's another thing that you guys can constantly be kind of putting out there is like an identity, right? Your group is based on this identity of the Lookout Creek watershed, which is really cool. It's a great way to organize people because you guys all have a vested interest in that waterway, and it binds you together, binds your neighborhood together, that whole part of the city. But it shows you, right, watersheds within watersheds. So you've got the Lookout Creek watershed within the Tennessee River watershed. So I really like these images. They help kids understand that we're talking about kind of a Russian nesting doll concept. There's like, you can break it down really, really small. Like what's like the storm drain down the street from your house, right? You are in that little bitty watershed, like your whole yard is probably draining to that one spot if it runs off. But then you blow it up and you're in the Lookout Creek watershed. You blow it up, you're in the Tennessee River watershed, and then the Mississippi watershed. And a lot of people talk about water quality issues. They like to link it to a global impact, right? So what we do here in Tennessee and in the mountains is having an impact on the Gulf of Mexico and the world's oceans. Big dead zone in the Gulf of Mexico from all that eutrophication and herbicides and pesticides that wash out to sea. The other biggest gap that I see, so like the two biggest gaps I see for people's understanding about water pollution and water quality, just basic concepts, is that water is supposed to soak into the ground, like we talked about, and then get to a creek or a stream. The other thing people don't know is that storm drains go to the river. They assume the storm drains go to Moccasin Bend and get treated. So they throw cigarette butts in there, they throw a bag of dog poop in there. You know, I've seen people pour paint out in there. That's just going to a creek. So that's a major informational campaign that I wish the city would devote time to. So this spells it out really clearly here, this image, and you guys are welcome to use any of these images. They're not great, but they can be helpful just for basic information. So this is showing sewer pipes are a separate system, right? We got two pipes, two different things. They are separate from each other. The storm drain is going to the stream. Sewer pipe is going to Moccasin Bend. And so this is untreated. All this junk in here is not, that storm drain was its last chance to get filtered, you know. So there are programs I've seen in other cities that you can adopt a storm drain. So sometimes people decorate the storm drain, they paint it, and they'll write things like goes to river, you know, and sometimes people get really artistic and they paint beautiful images of fish and turtles and herons, you know, to like help people understand the connection, really get the, like, do you want the garbage that you're seeing on the street to go to this beautiful place, which is our Tennessee River? So that's always cool. I wish the city would fund something like that. So generally, if you're curious about how the city works, there's so many things we could be doing and probably should be doing, and we fund, the water quality program funds a lot of different salaries, but it really just doesn't seem like enough. Like, we don't have a full-time person in charge of educating the general public anymore. We're low on inspectors. I could use a lot more staff maintaining public green infrastructure sites. That's what I do with most of my time, is caring for big, beautiful rain gardens full of native plants. And we could have a lot more of those kinds of gardens. We could have a lot more functional green roofs. If I had more staff, for example, we could be doing more to engage the public to learn about storm drains. We could be giving away more incentives. We have a partnership with Waterways, which I mentioned to you, Adam. Great organization to get to know. Mary Beth Sutton is a wonderful lady. She'll be really excited to meet y'all. And that's another group to team up with for creek cleanup, or just generally kind of getting things off the ground. They have a lot of great brochures and things that they've made, along with South Chickamauga Creek Greenway Alliance, with Sandy Kurtz. But yeah, it's I love that y'all are focusing on education right now. I think that's really critical, because it really just feels like most people want to do the right thing. Most people care about water, but they don't know the connection between what we do on land and how land impacts water. And they don't realize what a lot of sources of these pollutants are. They don't realize the connection between plants and water. So protecting riparian buffers, protecting forests in headwaters, and controlling erosion just anywhere and everywhere. So I'm talking a lot. If y'all have any questions, I basically just want you to know that I love to meet groups like this, because I don't like, I can do things inside the city, but having organizations kind of saying a lot of the same things that my coworkers and I say, it backs us up, and it gives us a place to go to and things to reference. This article about Adam talking in city council, that was really easy just to send around to my management and be like, look, citizens care about this stuff. We really need to push this. We need to advocate for this and try to get the, get the garbage crews behind this too, and the people that manage the garbage crews, because they already know that I'm a, wacky environmentalist, and they're sick of hearing from me. So,
have you heard anything like from your bosses about it? About that push?
About getting a trash route specifically? No. It's kind of a weird week this week, and to tell you the truth, the lady that will be pushing for this the most, her dad just died a couple weeks ago, so she's still out trying to take care of a bunch of personal things. But no, I mean that's not a good answer. It's any number of people besides her should have addressed this already, and they just haven't.
I did have some questions about the Rain Smart. You said they incentivize City of Chattanooga residents to adopt rain gardens.
To build them in your backyard.
Okay.
So the website here, you have to be in city limits. It doesn't really work so well if you're on a really steep hillside. So you have to do a little bit of a soil test to see if it'll infiltrate enough. Am I eligible? You got to own the property, so we're excluding renters. That's not good. Yeah, you got to be up to date on your water quality fee. Yeah, we have a lot of information about like how to build it, and if you apply, the city will, basically we're, myself and my coworker that runs this program would be helping you as a consultant. There's companies that are qualified to do this too. Mostly we get middle class folks applying for this. It's people that already kind of had the money, already were sort of interested in doing a thing like this. They were probably already gardeners and they just want some money back for the good work that they did, right? And the city's just kind of patting you on the back saying like, yeah, we like that you did that. It's in my mind, it's not going far enough to reach people. Not everybody wants to garden anyway, so it's not going to suit everybody anyway, but I feel like we could be doing more. We could be giving more money, or well, we've talked about incentivizing other landscaping changes besides rain gardens, because not everybody's property is suited for a rain garden, but almost everybody could plant a new tree or stop using fertilizer, things like that. So if there was another program this year, you guys, in case you haven't heard, we did a big free tree giveaway through Reflection Writing. If anybody wants some really good native trees, you can have 2 free trees if you live that part of town. Lookout Creek Watershed gets 2 trees.
Nice. When is that?
It's happening right now. It's been happening since November, and it's probably going to wrap up in March. But you could go to Reflection Writing's page, or it's probably on this website, to be honest with you. No, I don't see it. We used to have it on this page.
Is that different from the
Oh, there it is. Growing resilient neighborhoods. A lot of nice buzzwords. The Citizen Tree Planting Initiative. Yeah, so you make sure you're in city limits. You can do that there. And then you fill out this form. And then you pick them up at Reflection Writing.
Nice.
And there's a nice video about how to properly plant a tree, because most people really don't know how to do that. It's a lot trickier than you might realize. But yeah, this was targeted at the tornado affected part of town, but anybody in town can have at least 2. They get 4.
Nice.
I'm gonna stop sharing. There we go.
I'll take the spotlight off you too. Wait, actually, I think you're the host now, so you have to.
see. There we go. Is that better?
Yeah. Let's see. I got a new laptop, so I'm still trying to. Wait, can you gallery view? There we go. All right. Well, unless anybody else has anything to say, I was hoping for more people. A lot of people have been talking to me. We're up to 93 people in the Facebook group, and last time I checked, around 400 followers on the Facebook page. And I have a lot of people texting all the time. I don't know if weeknights at supper time is the best time to have these meetings, but we had about 5 people between the 2 meetings I did last month, and 6 people tonight. So I think once we start doing real, like getting out and doing creek cleanups and that kind of stuff, and Chris and I have been talking, we want to build a float for like the little community parades like they do in Trenton, and Lookout Valley has a little parade, so have a little float ready. We talked about, like I looked up bulk prices on those trash grabber arms, we can hand those out at the parades.
Not lollipops.
Yeah. But Alex, I will connect you with Ollie to get you started on that property owners research team. And then if you guys just want to keep spreading the word, Jim and Bonnie, I know you guys are good about keeping an eye out down in Georgia. So if anything pops up, just post it in the group and let us know. And I'll set a date for the next meeting. Let's see. I can't do Tuesdays anymore. My son is doing altar server training on Tuesdays, and that did not work out well when I tried to do that last week. March.
Just let us know.
What about the 15th, March 15th? Sound good?
March.
The Ides of March.
Yeah. All right.
Yes.
Well, I will see everybody later.
Okay.
Hey, I just posted,
Daddy, you look like your daddy.
I just posted a couple things in the chat. There's the riparian buffer protection handbook and the city website there. You guys.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the fertilizer stuff, because I do a lot of fishing. I love to fish, and I'm big on catch and release. And a lot of the areas where I fish, especially in Marion County, are getting ruined by farm runoff. There's just grass everywhere, and so it makes it really hard to find where they are. They move out to deeper water in the summertime, which that has a pretty profound impact on their breeding patterns, because they come into the shallows to spawn. So we're starting to see a lot of the fishing die off in that area in Nickajack Lake, Mullins Cove area. It's just getting really, really grassy every summer, and there's a lot of agricultural land around there, especially at the foot of the mountain. And all of that runoff is, I mean, it recreationally, I understand, far more than the environmental impact, but I know that when ecosystem starts to collapse, like that could be bad for everybody. So
Yeah, so when you say it's getting grassy in that area, you mean like as opposed to forests, it's turf grass, or?
Oh yeah, no, there's a lot of farmland over there. And so people are growing a lot of crops like corn and turnips, and there's not so much, there's a few areas where they have livestock and stuff like that, but yeah, most of it is cleared land for actually growing vegetables and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
and we're seeing it a lot. There's a family over there that owns probably about 1,300 acres in Mullins Cove. It's where we do all our hunting and fishing and camping and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of this stuff is happening more over into the Whiteside area and on the other side of the river as well, which is downstream from them. But there's enough happening up that way that I've noticed a difference even in the last 10 years, but especially since I was a kid, just how much it's changed it's almost impossible to fish up by their houses in the summertime because it's just getting so thick.
Yeah,
So-
it's so much harder to reach folks, more rural areas. They just, they've probably got like one guy on their county water quality team
Right.
running the whole program.
Yeah, if any at all.
Right.
Well,
Yeah, I've been interested on getting boots on the ground for this for a long time because I mean, it's like I said, I'd love to be outdoors and do that type of stuff. And, recreationally it's costing us, but I know there can be a profound impact on the quality of human life if we start to see ecosystems, especially in our area, start to collapse. We don't know what could be the ramifications of something like this. So it's really important to get that word out there.
Yeah.
People understand like this long term can have a massive impact on your quality of life.
Right.
So something that was concerning to me when I started doing research for all this is the Lookout Creek watershed is still like 70% forested as of the last research that I saw. But Chattanooga is growing super fast and it's going to spill over. And there's not like, besides reflection riding, and up on the mountain, you have Lulu Lake Land Trust and Lookout Mountain Conservancy, but there's not a lot of protected land,
Right.
in the watershed besides, the stuff up on the mountain. You do have Georgia, Alabama Land Trust. I think I looked them up and they have 2 different conservation easements in the watershed for a few hundred acres, which is not much out of 120,000 acres. So it's really good, and I don't expect, the government to just like buy up all the land and protect it. So it's going to take property owners adopting these best management practices to protect the watershed. And the only way to do that is through education.
Yeah,
exactly.
But you may be surprised to learn how much the government is required to do. So development codes in Chattanooga are largely shaped by the Federal Clean Water Act. Like you can't just go and destroy a piece of the United States without some federal laws kicking in. So riparian protection, wetland protection, we don't own the Tennessee River. Chattanooga doesn't get to just do what it wants to the Tennessee River. So even in more rural places, you might be surprised by how many rules there are about agricultural practices and development. Chattanooga's been trying to get people in Chattanooga have been trying to get a steep slope and floodplains protection. Have you guys looked into that much?
Yeah, I've been paying attention to that with like the city election.
Yeah, so a huge. I feel like what you were just talking about, Alex, like getting through to people that their quality of life is going to go down, like really linking water to like public health and safety. It sounds kind of dramatic or something, but it's really not. Like we really do need a clean environment. And recreation, getting out on the river and going fishing or swimming or whatever it's not. It shouldn't be like a luxury thing, right? That should just be a good life. That should just be a free public resource that we all get to enjoy, and we all need it for drinking water also.
Yeah, exactly. And that's my grandparents lived in South Pittsburgh, which is like, it's the worst of the worst when it comes to water quality, because there's 2 major cities in Tennessee that dump their sewage in the river and it goes down to where they are. I mean, you can smell it too when you turn the tap on down, or at least back then you could have, they passed away when I was in high school, but they used to come to our house in Jasper and get water, and we had an independent water source from Town Creek, which was very good. It was cave fed, very cold water source, and it didn't really require a lot of treatment, but it was awful down that way. And so you see stuff like that, and you think, okay, well, it's probably not a big deal if this certain helgamite or if this certain salamander or whatever faces extinction, but it actually is, because we don't know what kind of chain reaction that's going to set off and what that means down the road for the entire ecosystem at large. And I mean, I wasn't a natural science major. I was a social science major when I was in college, but this stuff is far more connected to my lifestyle, what I like to do, what I like to enjoy, and what I like to see. And once it's gone, it's gone. There's nothing, you know, we don't know how to bring it back. So we don't know how to bring extinct species back, and we don't know what those implications are going to be down the road. And it feels good to finally find a group that's like the old school way of thinking. It's like, do this locally. There's people are always going to argue about what should we do economically, and who should we put in charge, and who should we elect to do this and whatever. And really the answer is like, clean up your streams, pick up trash, don't litter, start locally, do this right here in your own community. And it feels good to see a group of people
fix your septic tank, keep your cattle out of the
right.
Yeah. Prevention is really critical. I agree with you, Alex. I think it's this definitely refreshes me to see this group just come out of nowhere. Was really made my day.
Yeah. Well, I love this area, and I don't want to see it get ruined. I mean, there's a lot of fun stuff to do outdoors around here, and it's Adam's right. It's growing exponentially. Yeah. So,
and growth is good, but we should develop for density, and not try to develop every single available space, especially when there's like so many just wasted parking lots.
Yes.
Across Chattanooga anyway.
I grew up in Nashville, which is a much bigger city, but economically it did not have quite the industrial past that Chattanooga does. And I've been really surprised since living here for the last 7 years. I feel like Chattanoogans they've grown up with a more messed up environment and are more likely to just kind of accept it the way it is. And even though Nashville is bigger, a little creek in Nashville is actually typically not like a dangerous place to play when you're a kid.
Right.
A little creek in over in East Chattanooga, it is a dangerous place. You shouldn't get in there. You shouldn't touch it.
Oh no,
that really makes me sad.
That's a result. I think that's a result. So in 1969, Walter Cronkite said that Chattanooga had the dirtiest air quality in the world, not in the U.S., in the world. And so I think there's been this massive focus on air quality in Chattanooga, which is important, and I understand. We have a lot of people come. This is a major interstate hub, so that's a massive transient for trucking companies and motorists in general. But I think that's where our primary focus has been for the last 50 to 60 years, and at the cost of water and land pollution. And nobody's talking about that. Nobody talks about those things. This is a major waterway, and it's absolutely disgusting. And you're right. I mean, you can go through, there's a creek up here in Red Bank, Chattanooga creeks like this. There are signs on these creeks that say, do not touch this water. Don't get in it. Don't eat the fish from it. Literally do not touch this water.
Yeah.
There's something fundamentally wrong with that.
It is. Yeah. It shouldn't be that way. And we gotta stay, angry about that. We deserve better. Chattanoogans deserve better. But there, a lot of folks around Chattanooga are dealing with really severe lead pollution, contamination in the soil. And if something's in the soil, then it's in the water too.
Right.
So the EPA is actually working on that. I don't know if you guys have any friends whose yards are getting dug up to deal with that heavy metal contamination, but it has serious implications. Chattanooga has really some parts of Chattanooga where this foundry sand, you guys probably heard of foundry sand being a source for these heavy metals. A lot of people in these areas that have this foundry sand contamination, there's a much higher rate of premature births and complications with premature births and babies being born with you know, like unknown health consequences of these problems, like
Yeah.
a UTC
Like organic brain
professor.
injury, that type of stuff.
Yeah, a UTC
Yeah.
professor was studying like presence of these metals like in the placenta, you know, so it's like I really, you know, I started out as just a you know, tree hugger, loving the outdoors, don't really care about human issues, it's not my thing, I just want to think about nature and protect nature, to oh wait, this is all connected, and everybody, even if you don't really care about some beautiful little salamander, presumably you do care about babies being born with you know, damaged brains.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's like there's a lot of ways you can draw people in. There's a lot of different. This impacts us all in different ways, and I've really gone in the opposite direction a lot, because I studied biology, and you know, in sciences, a lot of the time they don't ask you to apply things, right? It's all this theoretical stuff, and it's all
Right.
study. It's this like hypothetical, pristine, natural environment. So like bringing in the way that it's actually connected to humans and how it shakes out in the real world is you know, critical to reach people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Um,
that's my take on it too. I mean, I'm very much from kind of the objectivist school of thought, but the part of that is human flourishing. I mean, that's what objectivism and individualism and all that type of stuff is about, is human flourishing. And this is part of it, and taking care of your environment is part of human flourishing. And we don't, once it becomes a detriment, then every person has a responsibility, regardless of what philosophy they subscribe to take responsibility for their environment and make sure that these things are taken care of, because this actually is harm. I mean, you've mentioned several examples of how this harms people. This is a detriment to human flourishing, period. And people need to recognize that. And while they're arguing about, well, what economic policies and what politicians and all this kind of stuff should we implement for these things, the answer is what we did 25, 30 years ago when I was in high school with Riverwalk and all that kind of stuff. Is you literally go to the riverbanks, pick up trash, clean up your environment, and spend a little bit of time doing these things that has a major impact, especially when you do it on a weekly basis, and especially when you're getting other people involved. So that's my goal. My goal is human flourishing, and that's what I mean. This is necessary. Our environment has to be clean. It has to be.
gotta do it.
Yeah, I mean,
They
there's
just
no other option.
they just called and announced that schools are going to be, I think, virtual tomorrow because of the weather, which is really a bummer. Now that we're 1-to-1, they can expect us to work on snow days.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, so I got to put together some stuff for working remotely tomorrow. But thanks for everybody for coming. Lynn, thank you for coming and speaking. And
Yeah, glad to do it. Yeah, just reach out anytime. It's part of my job. So
awesome.
Right on.
All right, see
All right,
you guys next month or sooner.
I'm good. Yeah, man, for sure.
All right, bye.
bye.